The Terran invasion fleet materialized at the edge of Earth's solar system, a chilling testament to why aliens fear human imagination in warfare. Commander Orion, the undefeated military genius of the Terran Empire, surveyed the blue-green orb of Earth through his command viewport. His mandibles clicked in anticipation of an easy conquest. Alarms blared across Earth's military installations as thousands of alien ships appeared on long-range sensors. In the Pentagon's war room, frantic officers scrambled to formulate a response. Colonel Philip Simpson, a grizzled veteran known for his unorthodox strategies, stood before a holographic display of the solar system. His eyes narrowed as he absorbed the dire situation. "We're outgunned and outclassed," a junior officer reported, her voice trembling. "Their energy shields are impenetrable to our weapons." Simpson nodded grimly. "Conventional tactics won't work here. We need to think outside the box." As Earth's unified defense force mobilized, the Catarian Armada advanced. Their ships, sleek and predatory, formed an impenetrable blockade around the planet. Earth's initial counterattack failed spectacularly. Missiles and energy weapons dissipated harmlessly against the alien shields. Commander Orion watched with cold satisfaction as his forces secured a beachhead on the moon. Within hours, the lunar surface bristled with Terran weaponry. Matter disintegration beams lanced out from the moon, reducing Earth's major cities to ash. Military bases crumbled under the relentless assault. In underground bunkers, Earth's remaining leaders gathered, casualties mounted by the millions. Hope dwindled with each passing hour. Colonel Simpson, his uniform stained with dust and sweat, proposed a plan so radical it bordered on insanity. "We can't match their technology," he said, gesturing to a table strewn with everyday objects. "But we can repurpose our own tech in ways they'd never expect." Engineers and scientists huddled around the table, jerry-rigging household appliances and industrial equipment into makeshift weapons. Simpson's team worked feverishly, combining technologies in ways never before considered for warfare. Aboard his flagship, Commander Orion observed the humans' erratic behavior with disdain. "Prepare for the final assault," he ordered. "These primitives pose no threat to us." But as Terran forces descended towards Earth's remaining strongholds, they were about to face something their rigid, logical minds couldn't comprehend: the full force of human imagination unleashed in desperation. Colonel Simpson's unconventional approach was about to introduce chaos and unpredictability to a battlefield where the aliens expected order and submission. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, with Earth's defenders poised to prove why aliens should fear the boundless creativity of the human mind in warfare. Colonel Simpson's eyes blazed with fierce intensity as he surveyed the makeshift war room. Repurposed subway tunnels hummed with activity, their concrete walls now lined with jury-rigged computer systems and hastily assembled communications equipment. "Operation Junkyard is a go," Simpson announced, his voice carrying over the din of frantic activity. "We move now." Across the globe, a network of hidden command centers sprang into action. In abandoned mines, reinforced basements, and forgotten Cold War bunkers, humanity's last line of defense mobilized. On the surface, civilian volunteers emerged from hiding. Armed with modified household appliances and retrofitted vehicles, they moved with purpose and stealth. A middle-aged woman hefted what appeared to be an ordinary microwave oven, its circuitry rewired to emit targeted electromagnetic pulses. A teenager piloted a swarm of drones, each one loaded with improvised explosives. In a secret facility beneath the ruins of MIT, Dr. Marcus Cox leaned over a microscope, making final adjustments to his nanobot prototypes. "They're ready," he announced to the team of bleary-eyed scientists surrounding him. "Let's hope they work as intended." Billions of nanobots poured into specially designed containers, ready for deployment against the Terran fleet. Cox's hands trembled slightly as he sealed the last vial. The weight of humanity's survival pressed heavily on his shoulders. Above the Earth's ravaged surface, Commander Orion's flagship hung in lunar orbit like a predator poised to strike. His compound eyes scanned tactical displays, noting with satisfaction the steady progress of his ground forces. An aide approached, mandibles clicking nervously. "Commander, our sensors are detecting unusual electromagnetic activity across the planet's surface." Orion's exoskeleton bristled with annoyance. Undoubtedly the humans attempting to restore their primitive communication networks. It changes nothing. Proceed with the occupation as planned. On the outskirts of what was once Chicago, a Terran assault force advanced through the ruins. Their energy shields hummed, repelling debris and occasional small arms fire from human holdouts. The alien troops moved with mechanical precision, their superior technology making them virtually invulnerable to conventional attacks. Suddenly, a barrage of modified microwave ovens activated simultaneously. Concentrated bursts of electromagnetic energy slammed into the Terran shields. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a crackle of energy, sections of the alien defenses flickered and failed. Before the Caterians could react, a swarm of civilian drones descended upon them. The improvised explosive devices they carried detonated in a chaos of fire and shrapnel. Alien soldiers fell, their once impenetrable armor now useless against this unconventional assault. Similar scenes played out across the globe. In London, Paris, and Beijing, human resistance fighters emerged from hiding. They drove vehicles cobbled together from civilian cars and industrial equipment, their reinforced frames jam-packed with makeshift weapons. Commander Orion's flagship rocked as alarms blared. "What's happening?" he demanded, his usual calm demeanor cracking. "Multiple hull breaches detected," an officer reported, panic evident in his voice. "Some kind of microscopic machines are eating through our systems." Dr. Cox's nanobots had found their mark. Introduced through the Tarian ship's ventilation systems, they now swarmed through vital components, disabling weapons, shields, and life support systems with ruthless efficiency. In the Pentagon's underground war room, Colonel Simpson watched the holographic display with grim satisfaction. Red icons representing Terran forces winked out one by one as Operation Junkyard gained momentum. "We've bloodied their nose," Simpson muttered. "Now for the knockout punch." He keyed his comm system, broadcasting on all resistance frequencies. "All units, this is Junkyard Actual. Phase 2 is a go. I repeat, initiate Phase 2. Across the planet, human forces transitioned from defense to offense. Armored vehicles produced in repurposed car factories rolled out of hiding, engaging Terran ground troops with surprising effectiveness. Their weapons, a hodgepodge of human ingenuity and alien salvage, punched through weakened Terran defenses. In orbit, disabled Terran ships drifted helplessly. Some exploded as Dr. Cox's nanobots reached critical systems. Others fell from the sky, burning up in the atmosphere or crashing into the oceans below. Commander Orion stared at his tactical displays in disbelief. The impenetrable Tarian war machine was coming apart at the seams, undone by human creativity and desperation. "Impossible," he whispered, mandibles quivering. "How could these primitives—" His words were cut short as his flagship systems failed catastrophically. Emergency lighting bathed the bridge in an eerie red glow as the mighty vessel began to lose orbit. On Earth, Colonel Simpson allowed himself a small smile. The tide was turning, but the battle was far from won. Terran forces still held significant territory, and their leadership would soon adapt to these new tactics. "Dr. Cox," Simpson called out, "we need another ace up our sleeve. What else have you got?" The scientist looked up from his workstation, eyes gleaming with a mix of exhaustion and excitement. "Colonel, I think I might have just the thing, but it's risky, and we'll need every scrap of alien tech we can salvage." Simpson nodded grimly. "Whatever it takes, Doctor. Earth is counting on us." As the sounds of battle echoed in the distance, humanity's defenders prepared for the next phase of their desperate struggle against the Terran invaders. The war for Earth's survival raged on, with the fate of the planet hanging in the balance. The global counteroffensive, codenamed Operation Junkyard, erupted with synchronized precision. Across the planet, hidden resistance cells sprang into action, wielding an arsenal of repurposed technology that defied conventional military doctrine. In the ruins of Tokyo, a team of former electronics engineers activated a network of modified microwave transmitters. The air crackled with invisible energy as concentrated electromagnetic pulses slammed into the Terran defense grid. Alien shields flickered and failed, leaving their ships exposed. EMP strike successful, a resistance fighter reported, her voice barely audible over the sudden roar of Earth's conventional weapons finding their marks. Katarian cruiser down in Sector 7. Similar scenes played out worldwide. In the skies over Rio de Janeiro, swarms of civilian drones retrofitted with explosive payloads overwhelmed Katarian point defense systems. The once impenetrable alien ships now resembled angry beehives, swarmed by relentless mechanical insects that detonated on impact. Colonel Simpson watched the tactical display in the Pentagon's war room, his eyes darting from one engagement to another. "Push the advantage," he ordered. "Don't let them regroup." On the ground, Earth's hastily armored vehicles rumbled out of hiding. In the outskirts of Moscow, a convoy of repurposed construction equipment, now overflowing with salvaged alien weaponry, ambushed a Katarian patrol. The aliens' rigid formations crumbled in the face of guerrilla tactics they couldn't comprehend. A Terran officer barked orders in his native tongue, mandibles clicking furiously as his troops scattered. A bulldozer, its blade reinforced with scavenged alien alloys, plowed through their lines. The sound of alien screams mingled with the grinding of metal and the staccato of human weapons fire. High above the chaos, weather balloons drifted innocuously in the upper atmosphere. Each carried a payload far deadlier than any conventional weapon, trillions of Dr. Cox's nanobots. As the balloons burst, clouds of microscopic machines dispersed, carried by high-altitude winds towards the Katarian fleet. Aboard the Terran flagship, Commander Orion's compound eyes widened in disbelief as damage reports flooded in. "Impossible," he hissed, mandibles quivering. "How are these primitives breaching our defenses?" An aide approached, his exoskeleton vibrating with stress. "Commander, we're detecting widespread system failures across the fleet. Something is eating through our circuitry." Orion's initial dismissiveness gave way to cold realization. These humans were far more resourceful than he had anticipated. "Pull back," he ordered. "Establish a defensive perimeter around the lunar base. We must protect the weapon project at all costs." As Katarian ships retreated from Earth's orbit, leaving their ground forces to fend for themselves, a new player entered the fray. Captain Lena Novak's voice crackled over the comm systems of Earth's remaining orbital platforms. "This is Orbital Command," she announced, her tone sharp and focused. "All stations prepare for coordinated strike on retreating Terran vessels. Fire on my mark." Colonel Simpson nodded in approval as he watched Captain Novak's tactics unfold. Earth's limited space-based assets, carefully husbanded until this moment, now unleashed a devastating barrage. Precision-guided munitions and repurposed satellite weapons tore into the disorganized Katarian fleet. The initial success of Operation Junkyard rippled across the globe. In occupied territories, civilian populations rose up against their alien oppressors. Armed with improvised weapons and fueled by newfound hope, they struck at Katarian supply lines and communication hubs. In the streets of Paris, a group of resistance fighters ambushed a Terran patrol. They wielded an eclectic array of weapons: nail guns modified to fire armor-piercing rounds, flamethrowers cobbled together from pressure washers and industrial chemicals. The aliens' superior technology meant little in the face of human ingenuity and desperation. As Earth's forces pushed the Katarians back, Colonel Simpson faced a new challenge. "We're running low on raw materials," an aide reported. "At this rate, we can't sustain production of our improvised weapons for more than a few days." Simpson's teeth gritted. "Get Dr. Cox on the line. We need more efficient production methods, and we need them yesterday." In his makeshift laboratory, Dr. Cox worked feverishly, surrounded by a team of exhausted scientists. "We're looking at using bacterial synthesis to produce nanobots," he explained to Simpson over a grainy video feed. "It could increase our output tenfold, but it's still experimental." As Earth's defenders scrambled to maintain their momentum, a startling discovery changed the course of the war. In an abandoned Terran forward base in the Andes, human scouts uncovered partial schematics for a terrifying weapon. "It's designed to manipulate Earth's magnetic field," a scientist explained, her voice trembling as she examined the alien data. "If they succeed, they could devastate our ecosystems, our infrastructure, everything." Colonel Simpson's mind raced. This weapon could undo all their hard-won progress. "Where are they building it?" he demanded. The answer came from Captain Novak, her face grim on the video feed. "Our scans show increased activity at the Terran lunar base. It has to be there." Simpson nodded, his decision made. "Prepare a space mission. We need our best people on this. Soldiers and scientists both." Major Alex Ryder, a grizzled Special Forces veteran, was tapped to lead the lunar assault team. As he assembled his squad, the stakes couldn't have been higher. On the moon, Commander Orion received word of the humans' discovery. His mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation. "Accelerate the weapons development," he ordered. "It's our only hope of turning this war around." As both sides raced against time, the fate of Earth hung in the balance. Human adaptability clashed with Terran technology, each side pushing their resources to the limit. The lunar base loomed as the final battleground, a crucible where the future of humanity would be decided. In the Pentagon War Room, Colonel Simpson surveyed the global tactical display. Earth's forces had made significant gains, but the Terrans were far from defeated. As reports came in of the aliens' desperate push to complete their doomsday weapon, he knew the true test still lay ahead. Major Ryder's voice crackled over the comm system. "Lunar assault team is ready, sir. We're just waiting for the go order." Simpson took a deep breath, feeling the weight of humanity's future on his shoulders. "Godspeed, Major. The fate of our world is in your hands." Hands. Simpson turned to his communications officer. "Patch me through to the launch site." The officer nodded, fingers flying over his console. A moment later, Major Ryder's face appeared on the main screen, his expression a mask of iron will. "Major, you have a go for Operation Trojan Horse. Godspeed." Ryder nodded sharply. "Understood, sir. We won't let you down." The modified civilian space shuttle sat on the launch pad, its exterior cleverly disguised to resemble a damaged Catarian transport. Inside, Ryder's team of elite soldiers and scientists performed last-minute equipment checks, their movements precise and economical. Dr. Amanda Foster, the mission's xenobiologist, secured her data pad and looked up at Ryder. "Major, the cloaking device is online and functioning at optimal levels. We should be invisible to Catarian sensors." Ryder acknowledged her report with a curt nod. "Good, everyone strap in. We launch in 2 minutes." The shuttle's engines roared to life, vibrating through the hull as it lifted off. As they climbed through the atmosphere, the team watched Earth shrink beneath them, the patchwork of battle scars visible even from their rapidly increasing altitude. "Entering lunar approach," the pilot announced, cloaking device holding steady. Tension mounted as they neared the Terran lunar base. Ryder's hands tightened on his harness as they passed through the outer defense perimeter undetected. Moments later, they touched down in a secluded crater near the base's periphery. "Split up," Ryder ordered as they disembarked. "Foster, take your team and infiltrate the central computer system. We'll head for the weapon facility." The two groups separated, moving with practiced stealth across the lunar surface. Ryder's team used the rugged terrain for cover, their modified spacesuits allowing for quick, silent movement. As they approached the weapon facility, a Terran patrol rounded a corner. Ryder signaled his team to freeze. For a heart-stopping moment, it seemed they'd be discovered, but the aliens passed by, their attention focused on a malfunctioning piece of equipment. Inside the base, Dr. Foster's group encountered their first obstacle, a secured airlock. "Chen, you're up," she whispered. The team's tech specialist stepped forward, attaching a device to the airlock's control panel. After a tense minute, the door slid open with a soft hiss. Meanwhile, on Earth, Colonel Simpson coordinated the diversionary attack. All units commence Operation Smokescreen, he ordered. Across the globe, Earth's forces launched a massive assault on Terran strongholds. Repurposed civilian vehicles, now armed to the teeth, rolled out of hidden bunkers. Swarms of weaponized drones filled the skies, overwhelming Terran defenses with sheer numbers. In the skies over what was once Beijing, Captain Novak's voice crackled over the comms. Orbital Platform Alpha, engaging Tarian air support. Precision strikes from Earth's remaining orbital assets rained down on key Qatarian positions, sowing chaos and confusion among the alien forces. Back on the moon, Ryder's team infiltrated the weapon development facility. They moved swiftly through the corridors, using salvaged Terran tech to bypass security systems. As they entered the main laboratory, Ryder's blood ran cold. The magnetic field device loomed before them, far larger and more complex than their intelligence had suggested. "Jackson, what are we looking at?" Ryder asked the team's scientist. Jackson studied the device, his face pale. "It's not just a weapon, sir. It's a terraforming machine. If activated, it could reshape Earth's entire biosphere." Ryder's fists tight. "Then we make damn sure that doesn't happen. Plant the charges. We're blowing this whole facility sky high." As his team set to work, alarms suddenly blared. "We've been made," Ryder growled. "Double time, people." In the central computer hub, Dr. Foster's team worked feverishly to download critical data. "Major," she radioed Ryder, "we've uncovered the Terrans' primary motivation. Their homeworld is dying. Earth isn't just a conquest, it's their salvation." "Doesn't justify what they're doing," Ryder replied, his voice tight as he returned fire at approaching Terran security forces. "What else have you found?" "Their fleet's command and control systems," Foster reported. "They're centralized, vulnerable to a coordinated cyber attack. We're transmitting the data to Earth now." Ryder acknowledged the information, then turned to his team. "Charges set?" At their affirmative responses, he nodded grimly. "Then we're out of here. Back to the shuttle. Double time." The team fought their way out of the facility, using guerrilla tactics to overcome the numerically superior Qatarian forces. They utilized every advantage, from repurposed alien weapons to the lower lunar gravity, executing acrobatic maneuvers that kept their enemies off balance. As they neared the shuttle, Ryder realized the Terrans were closing in too fast. "Get to the shuttle," he ordered his team. "I'll hold them off and make sure these charges detonate." "But sir," his second-in-command began to protest. "That's an order, Lieutenant," Ryder cut him off. "Earth is counting on us. Now go." As his team reluctantly retreated, Ryder turned to face the oncoming Terran forces. He activated his suit's built-in weapon systems, a patchwork of human and alien tech that Dr. Cox's team had cobbled together. The ensuing battle was fierce and chaotic. Ryder used the lunar terrain to his advantage, ducking behind craters and rock formations. His improvised weapons wreaked havoc on the Terran ranks, their armor ill-equipped to handle the unorthodox attack. In Earth orbit, Captain Novak received the data from Dr. Foster's team. "Colonel Simpson," she radioed, "we have the key to their fleet's weakness, requesting permission to execute a coordinated cyber attack." "Do it," Simpson ordered. "Hit them with everything we've got." As Earth's remaining orbital platforms launched a devastating digital assault on the Terran fleet, Ryder fought his way back to the shuttle. He arrived just as the facility behind him erupted in a massive explosion, the magnetic field device destroyed in a blinding flash of light and energy. The shuttle lifted off, narrowly escaping the collapsing Qatarian base. As they broke lunar orbit, the team watched sections of the alien fortress crumble and fall. "Earth Control, this is Trojan Horse," Ryder radioed, his voice weary but triumphant. "Mission accomplished. The weapon is destroyed." In the Pentagon War Room, a cheer went up. Colonel Simpson allowed himself a small smile before turning back to the tactical display. The destruction of the lunar base and the magnetic field weapon had indeed turned the tide, but the war was far from finished. As reports came in of Terran forces in disarray, Simpson knew they had to press their advantage. He turned to his staff, mind already racing with plans for the next phase of the counteroffensive. "Get me a secure line to all resistance cells," he ordered. "It's time to take back our planet." Planet. Simpson's voice trailed off as he surveyed the tactical display, his mind already mapping out the next phase of their counteroffensive. Operation Achilles is a go. All units, prepare for coordinated assault. The war room erupted into a flurry of activity. Technicians relayed orders to resistance cells worldwide, while intelligence officers pored over the data retrieved from the Tarian lunar base. Dr. Marcus Cox burst into the room, his eyes wild with excitement. "Colonel, we've done it. Using the information from Dr. Foster's team, we've developed a computer virus specifically designed to target Terran systems." Simpson's eyebrows raised. "Explain." "We're calling it Trojan Horse," Cox continued, pulling up schematics on a nearby screen. "It's engineered to disrupt communication between Terran ships and their central command. Once deployed, it should effectively cripple their coordinated efforts." A slow smile spread across Simpson's face. "Excellent work, Doctor. How soon can we deploy it?" "We're ready now, sir," Cox replied. "We just need a delivery system." Simpson nodded, his mind racing. "Get me our top hackers and computer specialists. We're going to launch a global cyber attack on the Catarian fleet." Within hours, a network of computer experts had been assembled. Using repurposed civilian servers and hijacked satellite networks, they began uploading the Trojan Horse virus into Terran systems. The effect was immediate and devastating. Across the globe, Catarian ships suddenly lost coordination, their movements becoming erratic and confused. In Earth orbit, Captain Lena Novak watched as the alien fleet fell into disarray. "Colonel Simpson," she radioed, her voice tense with anticipation. "The Catarians are vulnerable. Request permission to engage." "Permission granted, Captain," Simpson replied. "Hit them hard and fast." Novak's fingers flew over her control panel, targeting the now exposed Terran command ships. "All batteries, fire at will." Earth's remaining orbital platforms unleashed a barrage of precision strikes. Beams of concentrated energy lanced through space, tearing through the hulls of the alien vessels. Explosions blossomed in the vacuum, silent but brilliant. On the ground, Simpson mobilized Earth's unconventional forces for a massive counteroffensive. Armored vehicles cobbled together from repurposed construction equipment rolled out of hidden bunkers. EMP-generating microwave arrays, hastily mounted on trucks, moved into position. Swarms of weaponized civilian drones filled the skies, their controllers exploiting the gaps in Catarian air defenses. In occupied territories worldwide, resistance fighters emerged from hiding. Armed with a motley assortment of human and salvaged alien weapons, they launched simultaneous uprisings, catching the disorganized Terran ground troops off guard. Aboard his flagship in Earth orbit, Commander Orion struggled to comprehend the sudden turn of events. Warning signals blared from every console as the Trojan Horse virus spread through his systems. "Status report!" he barked, his mandibles clicking rapidly in agitation. A subordinate responded, its voice tinged with panic. "Commander, we've lost contact with over 60% of our ground forces. Our fleet coordination is severely compromised." Orion's compound eyes narrowed as he watched the battle unfold on his flickering view screens. Human forces were advancing on all fronts, exploiting weaknesses that shouldn't have existed. "We have no choice," Orion growled. "Deploy the vanguard." His second-in-command hesitated. "But Commander, the super soldiers are our last—" "I said deploy them," Orion roared. "Or would you prefer to explain our failure to the High Command?" Across the globe, massive drop pods streaked through the atmosphere. They crashed into key strategic locations, major cities, military installations, and critical infrastructure sites. As the dust settled, the pods cracked open, revealing their terrifying cargo. The Terran super soldiers emerged, their enhanced bodies rippling with unnatural strength. Standing nearly 3 meters tall, with armor fused directly to their exoskeletons, they were the pinnacle of Terran military science. In New York, Major Alex Ryder and his Special Forces team watched in horror as a super soldier effortlessly tore through a defensive line that had held for weeks. "Control, this is Ryder," he radioed, his voice tight. "We've got a serious problem here. These new Terran units are unlike anything we've seen before. Conventional weapons barely slow them down." Back in the Pentagon, Simpson received similar reports from around the world. He turned to Dr. Cox, who was already analyzing footage of the super soldiers in action. "Doctor, I need options," Simpson demanded. "How do we stop these things?" Cox shook his head, his expression grim. "Their genetic enhancements are beyond anything we've encountered. We need more data, more time to study them." "Time is the one thing we don't have," Simpson growled. He keyed his comm unit. "Ryder, I'm tasking your team with engaging these super soldiers directly. We need to understand their capabilities and find a weakness." "Understood, sir," Ryder replied. "We'll do our best, but we'll need all the support we can get." As battles raged across the planet, a new player entered the fray. Professor Elena Volkov, a renowned xenobiologist who had been working in secret on understanding Terran biology, made contact with Colonel Simpson. "Okay, Colonel, I've made a breakthrough," she explained, her voice crackling over a secured line. "These super soldiers have a critical weakness in their enhanced metabolism. It makes them vulnerable to certain Earth-based pathogens." Simpson's eyes widened. "Can you exploit this weakness?" "Possibly," Volkov replied, "but I'll need resources and I'll need to work with Dr. Cox. We might be able to develop a biological weapon that can neutralize these super soldiers." "You'll have whatever you need," Simpson assured her. "Get to work immediately. We're running out of time." As Earth's scientists raced to develop a countermeasure, Major Ryder and his team engaged in a series of grueling battles against the Tarian super soldiers. Each encounter was a desperate struggle for survival, with the humans using every trick and tactic at their disposal to stay alive. In orbit, Captain Novak detected a new threat. "Colonel, we've got incoming," she reported. "A fresh wave of Qatarian reinforcements approaching from the outer solar system. These ships haven't been affected by the Trojan horse virus." Simpson's fists clenched as he absorbed this new information. The window for victory was rapidly closing. He stared at the tactical display, watching as human and Qatarian forces clashed across the globe. In that moment, he made a decision that would alter the course of the war. "Captain Novak," he said, his voice steady despite the weight of his next words, "prepare to deploy the orbital mirror network." Novak hesitated. "Sir, are you sure? The potential for collateral damage?" "I know the risks, Captain." Simpson cut her off. "But we're out of options. Prepare the system for full power discharge on my command." As Earth's defenders braced for this final risky move, the fate of humanity hung in the balance. The ingenuity and adaptability that had carried them this far would be put to the ultimate test against the overwhelming technological might of the Terran invaders. Simpson's gaze remained fixed on the tactical display as he issued his next command. "Captain Novak, intensify orbital strikes on Qatarian command ships and supply lines. Exploit their confusion." "Understood, sir," Novak replied, her fingers dancing across her console. "Targeting key vessels now." In orbit, Earth's remaining platforms unleashed a barrage of concentrated energy beams. The disorganized Qatarian fleet, still reeling from the effects of the Trojan horse virus, struggled to mount an effective defense. Ship after ship erupted in silent explosions, debris scattering across the void. On the ground, the situation grew increasingly dire. Major Alex Ryder crouched behind a crumbling wall, his breath coming in ragged gasps. The acrid smell of smoke and ozone filled his nostrils as he peered around the corner. A Terran super soldier strode through the ruined street, its massive form dwarfing the overturned vehicles and scattered debris. Ryder gripped his weapon tighter, knowing full well that conventional arms were nearly useless against these monstrosities. "Jenkins, Joe, flank left," he whispered into his comm. "Kowalski with me. We hit it with everything we've got on my mark." His team moved into position, their movements fluid and practiced despite their exhaustion. Ryder took a deep breath, steeling himself for what was sure to be a brutal encounter. "Now!" he shouted, leaping from cover. The air filled with the staccato rhythm of gunfire as Ryder's team unleashed a hail of bullets. The super soldier staggered under the onslaught, its reinforced armor absorbing most of the damage. With inhuman speed, it whirled to face its attackers. Ryder's stomach dropped as he saw the creature's compound eyes fix on him. In that moment, he knew they were outmatched. "Fall back," he yelled, diving for cover as the super soldier charged. The ground shook with each thunderous step as the Terran juggernaut closed the distance. Ryder scrambled backward, his mind racing for a solution. They had faced 5 of these enhanced warriors in the past hour alone, and each encounter had cost them dearly. As the super soldier loomed over him, Ryder's comm crackled to life. "All units, this is Control. Prepare for deployment of Achilles' heel. Seek cover and don respiratory gear immediately." Ryder's eyes widened. "Everyone, masks on!" he shouted, fumbling for his own respirator. The sky above them filled with the drone of engines as a swarm of civilian crop dusters appeared, trailing clouds of fine mist. The Terran super soldier paused, its alien features twisting in what might have been confusion. As the mist settled, Ryder held his breath, waiting for any sign that this Achilles' heel was working. For a moment, nothing seemed to change. Then, almost imperceptibly, the super soldier's movements began to slow. The massive alien warrior took a lurching step forward, its limbs trembling with effort. It raised an arm, clearly intending to strike, but the blow never fell. Instead, the creature staggered, its legs buckling beneath its enormous weight. Ryder watched in amazement as the seemingly invincible foe collapsed to the ground, its enhanced body racked with spasms. Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out as other super soldiers succumbed to the effects of the biological agent. "Control, this is Ryder," he reported, his voice tight with cautious optimism. "Achilles' heel appears to be effective. The super soldiers are down." Back in the war room, Colonel Simpson allowed himself a brief moment of satisfaction before turning his attention to the next phase of the battle. "Captain Novak, status report on the orbital engagement." "Sir, we've taken out a significant portion of their fleet," Novak replied, "but we've detected a new wave of reinforcements approaching from the outer solar system. These ships appear to be unaffected by the Trojan horse virus." Simpson's expression resolute. They were running out of time. "Prepare the orbital mirror network for full power discharge," he ordered. "Colonel?" Dr. Cox interjected, his face pale with concern. "The potential for collateral damage is a risk we'll have to take," Simpson finished grimly. "We're out of options, Doctor. Captain Novak, begin alignment procedures." In orbit, massive solar reflectors slowly rotated into position. Engineers worked feverishly, overcoming system failures and pushing the hastily repurposed technology to its limits. As the mirrors locked into place, an intense beam of focused sunlight lanced out across space. The first Caterian ships caught in its path simply ceased to exist, vaporized in an instant. Commander Orion watched in horror from his flagship as sections of his fleet disappeared in blinding flashes of light. "Evasive maneuvers," he barked, his mandibles clicking furiously. "Disperse the fleet." But it was too late. The orbital weapon carved through the Terran formations, decimating their remaining forces in orbit. On Earth, the consequences of deploying such a powerful weapon became immediately apparent. Power grids flickered and failed across entire continents. Satellite networks went dark, plunging global communications into chaos. As humanity's defenders struggled to adapt to these new challenges, a more pressing threat loomed. The Terran reinforcements, their ships far more advanced than those of the initial invasion force, accelerated their approach. Colonel Simpson's voice cut through the din of the war room. "Dr. Cox, I need that Trojan horse virus adapted for the new Terran ships. Captain Novak, reposition our remaining assets to form a defensive screen." He turned to Major Ryder, whose team had just returned from the field. Major, we have intel on a possible Tarian command bunker in the Rockies. It could be controlling their entire invasion force. I need your team to find it and shut it down before those reinforcements arrive. Ryder nodded, his face grim but determined. We're on it, sir. What kind of resistance can we expect? Unknown, Simpson admitted. But if this bunker exists, it's sure to be heavily guarded. You'll be going in with minimal support, so stay alert and trust your instincts. As Ryder and his team geared up for their mission, the rest of Earth's defenders raced against time. Dr. Cox and his team worked tirelessly to modify the Trojan horse virus, while Captain Novak coordinated the remaining orbital platforms into a defensive formation. The fate of the planet hung in the balance as the Terran reinforcements drew ever closer. Humanity's last, desperate stand was about to begin, with the outcome far from certain. Certain with the outcome far from assured, but humanity had proven its resilience time and again, and Earth's defenders steeled themselves for the battles to come. Major Alex Ryder wiped the sweat from his brow as he studied the holographic map projected from his wrist device. The Rocky Mountains loomed before him, a vast expanse of jagged peaks and hidden valleys that could conceal any number of Terran secrets. "Sir, we've got something," Corporal Chen called out, her voice tight with excitement. "Anomalous energy readings coming from this abandoned mineshaft." Ryder's eyes narrowed as he examined the data. "Good work, Chen. This could be it. Jenkins, Joe, take point. Kowalski, you're on rear guard. Let's move." The team advanced cautiously, their boots crunching on loose gravel as they approached the mine entrance. The rusted metal gate hung askew, its lock long since broken. Ryder felt a chill run down his spine as they crossed the threshold into the darkness beyond. The air grew thick and stale as they ventured deeper into the mountain. Their flashlights cut through the gloom, revealing abandoned mining equipment and collapsed tunnels. Suddenly, Ryder's hand shot up, signaling the team to halt. "Look at this," he whispered, crouching down to examine a section of the tunnel wall. What appeared to be rough-hewn rock at first glance was actually a sophisticated holographic projection. "Terran tech. We're on the right track." With practiced efficiency, the team set to work. Shaped charges were carefully placed around the hidden entrance, and within minutes, a controlled explosion rocked the tunnel. As the dust settled, a sleek metal door was revealed, its alien design a stark contrast to the surrounding cave. "Breach and clear," Ryder ordered, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his veins. The moment the door slid open, all hell broke loose. Katarian guards, their armor gleaming in the harsh artificial light, opened fire with devastating energy weapons. Ryder and his team dove for cover, returning fire with their own high-powered rifles. "Suppressing fire," Ryder shouted over the din of battle. "Chen, work on bypassing their security systems. We need to push deeper into the facility." As the firefight raged, Chen's fingers flew over her portable terminal, interfacing with the alien technology. Sweat beaded on her forehead as she worked to crack the Terran encryption. "I'm in," she called out triumphantly. "Overriding door controls now." A series of pneumatic hisses echoed through the corridor as blast doors slid open, providing the team with a path forward. They advanced methodically, clearing room after room of Terran defenders. Meanwhile, high above the Earth's surface, Captain Novak stood at her command station, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. The incoming Terran reinforcements appeared as a swarm of red dots, growing ever larger as they approached. "All stations, report in," she ordered, her voice calm despite the gravity of the situation. "Debris field deployed and active, Captain," her XO reported, orbital mirrors aligned and charged. Novak nodded grimly. "Activate defensive screen. Prepare to engage on my mark." The void of space erupted in a dazzling light show as the first wave of Katarian ships encountered Earth's makeshift defenses. Explosions blossomed silently as alien vessels collided with the debris field, their shields flaring and failing under the unexpected assault. "Now," Novak commanded, "engage with all available weapons." The orbital mirrors sprang to life, focusing the sun's energy into devastating beams that lanced across space. Catarian ships, caught in their path, simply ceased to exist, vaporized in an instant. Earth's remaining defense satellites added to the barrage, launching salvos of missiles and energy weapons. But the Terran fleet was vast, and for every ship destroyed, 2 more took its place. Novak gritted her teeth as she watched the enemy advance, slowly but inexorably pushing through their defensive screen. Back on Earth, Dr. Cox rubbed his bloodshot eyes, staring at the lines of code scrolling across his screen. The adapted Trojan horse virus was a marvel of human ingenuity, cobbled together from the original alien code and bolstered by the combined efforts of hackers and programmers from around the globe. "We're ready for deployment," he announced to the tense room of technicians and military personnel, "initiating upload now." As the virus wormed its way into the Tarian systems, its effects were immediately apparent. Several enemy ships began to drift off course, their navigation systems compromised. Others fired wildly into space, their targeting computers malfunctioning. In the Rocky Mountain bunker, Major Ryder and his team fought their way through waves of Catarian defenders. The alien facility was a maze of twisting corridors and fortified chambers, each one more heavily guarded than the last. "We're close to the central control room," Ryder panted, taking cover behind an alien console as energy bolts sizzled past. "One final push." With a coordinated assault, they breached the last set of blast doors. The control room was a cathedral of alien technology, its walls lined with pulsing holograms and strange biotechnological interfaces. "Secure the room," Ryder ordered, his rifle sweeping across the chamber. "Chen, see what you can pull from their systems. We need to disrupt their command structure now." As Chen worked feverishly to access the Tarian network, Colonel Simpson received an urgent communication. Commander Oren's face appeared on the main screen, his alien features unreadable. "Colonel Simpson," Oren's translated voice crackled through the speakers. "I propose an immediate ceasefire. This conflict has grown costly for both our species." Simpson's eyes narrowed, his mind racing. Was this a genuine offer or a desperate ploy to buy time? He glanced at the tactical displays, assessing the state of the battle both in orbit and on the ground. "I'll need to consult with my advisors, Commander," Simpson replied carefully. "Stand by for our response." As Simpson conferred with his team, the fate of 2 species hung in the balance. The next few moments would determine whether humanity would emerge victorious or if the Catarian invasion would finally overwhelm Earth's defenses. In orbit, on the planet's surface, and deep within the mountain fortress, the battle raged on. Humanity's resourcefulness and drive were being put to the ultimate test against the technological might of the Catarian invaders. The outcome remained uncertain, but one thing was clear. The war for Earth had reached its critical moment. Colonel Simpson's eyes narrowed as he studied Commander Oren's alien features on the screen. The Terran leader's offer of a ceasefire hung in the air, pregnant with possibility and danger. "Commander, I appreciate your willingness to discuss terms," Simpson said, his voice steady. "I propose we open a secure channel to continue this conversation. In the meantime, I expect all Catarian forces to maintain their current positions." As Oren's image flickered out, Simpson turned to his team. "This could be our chance, but we're not letting our guard down. Captain Novak, maintain pressure on their fleet. Dr. Cox, I need you to accelerate your efforts on that virus and get me a secure line to Major Ryder's team." In the depths of the Rocky Mountain bunker, Ryder and his squad fought their way through waves of Catarian defenders. Energy bolts sizzled past, leaving scorch marks on the alien alloy walls. "Chen, status on that decryption?" Ryder called out, ducking behind a console. Corporal Chen's fingers flew over her portable terminal. "Almost there, sir. These Terran encryption protocols are like nothing I've ever seen, but I'm starting to see patterns." Suddenly her eyes widened. "Major, I'm in. You're not going to believe this." Ryder slid next to her, studying the stream of alien data. "What am I looking at, Chen?" "It's their entire battle network, sir. The Catarians use a centralized quantum entanglement system for communication. If we can disrupt it, we could cripple their entire fleet," Ryder finished, a grim smile spreading across his face. He activated his comms. Colonel Simpson, we've got something big here. As Ryder relayed the information, Dr. Cox's mind raced with possibilities. A cascading disruption signal, he muttered, fingers already tapping out equations. If we use the bunker's transmitters, we could send a pulse through their entire network. Simpson nodded. Make it happen, Doctor. Major Ryder, secure that facility at all costs. In orbit, Captain Novak received her new orders with a mix of anticipation and trepidation. The plan was audacious, bordering on insane, but those were the kinds of tactics that had kept humanity in the fight so far. All units prepare for Operation Solar Flare, she commanded. On my mark, realign all operational mirrors to coordinates Alpha 79er. The massive orbital reflectors slowly rotated into position, their surfaces gleaming in the harsh light of space. Novak watched the tactical display, waiting for the perfect moment. Now, she barked. The mirrors flared to life, focusing the sun's energy into a blinding burst that washed over the Tarian fleet. Alien sensors, calibrated for the darkness of space, were suddenly overwhelmed. Launch the swarm, Novak ordered. From concealed bays around Earth's orbit, hundreds of small weaponized satellites burst forth. Each carried a carefully measured dose of the Achilles heel biological agent, ready to be dispersed through the Caterian's life support systems. As the swarm infiltrated the disoriented Caterian ships, alarms blared throughout the alien fleet. Caterian crews scrambled to respond, but the effects of the biological agent were already taking hold. Warriors collapsed at their stations, overcome by the same devastating symptoms that had felled their super soldiers on Earth's surface. Back in the Rocky Mountain bunker, Dr. Cox's voice crackled over the comms. Major Ryder, we're ready to initiate the disruption signal. You'll need to activate the bunker's main transmitter array. Ryder and his team fought their way to the central control room. Chen interfaced with the alien systems, her fingers dancing across the holographic displays. A transmitter array online, she reported. Ready on your mark, Dr. Cox. Initiating cascading disruption signal? Now. Cox's voice rang out. The bunker hummed with energy as the signal pulsed outward. In space, the effect was immediate and devastating. Caterian ships began to drift aimlessly, their systems failing in a domino effect of cascading failures. Commander Orion watched in horror as his mighty armada crumbled before his eyes. Thousands of years of Terran technological superiority, undone in a matter of minutes by human ingenuity. All ships, initiate Protocol Omega, he roared, mandibles clicking furiously. Target Earth's population centers. But even this final high-stakes endeavor fell short. The Terran ships, their navigation systems scrambled by the disruption signal, veered wildly off course. Some collided with each other in brilliant explosions, while others spun helplessly into the void of space. Colonel Simpson, having anticipated this move, gave the order he'd hoped would never be necessary. Activate the global EMP network. Across the planet, hastily constructed electromagnetic pulse generators roared to life. Power plants and experimental fusion reactors, repurposed for this one daring plan, unleashed a massive electromagnetic wave that washed over the globe and out into space. The approaching Terran ships, already crippled by the cascading failures, stood no chance. Their electronic systems fried instantly, leaving them as little more than massive, inert hunks of metal drifting in Earth's orbit. As the dust settled, Captain Novak's voice came through on the command channel. Colonel Simpson, the Caterian flagship has been disabled and is drifting into stable orbit. Permission to lead a boarding party? Simpson nodded grimly. Granted, Captain. Bring me Commander Orion. As Novak and her team prepared to board the alien vessel, Simpson turned his attention to the aftermath of the battle. Reports were flooding in from around the globe, tales of Terran ground forces surrendering en masse, their command structure in tatters. Major Ryder's voice crackled over the comms. Colonel, we've secured the Rocky Mountain facility. The amount of intel here, it's going to take years to go through it all. Good work, Major. Simpson replied. "I want you and your team back here ASAP. We're not done yet." As he waited for Captain Novak to return with the captured Katerian leadership, Simpson allowed himself a moment to absorb the magnitude of what had just occurred. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged victorious, not through brute force, but through adaptability, ingenuity, and sheer perseverance. The war was over, but the real work was just beginning. As he prepared to face Commander Orion and dictate the terms of the Tarian surrender, Simpson knew that the choices made in the coming hours and days would shape the future of both species for generations to come.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.